Welcome, everybody. It's just about noon on another First Friday. I'm glad you're all here. We're going to give folks a few minutes to join us like we always do. I try to give like a little bit of a 5-minute buffer or so. In that time, feel free to put in the chat box where you're coming in from and maybe what you're enjoying today. I'm going to ask everybody to keep their mute on so that we can focus on the soothing sounds of my voice and we don't get any kind of bumps and background noise here and there. I will give you a disclaimer that I'm inside today because it's kind of rainy in Vermont. And so because I'm inside, I have a very old Siamese cat and she may get really vocal in a few minutes here. Hopefully not, maybe she's asleep, but that's my little indoor disclaimer that sometimes she's active during these things. Welcome again. I'm really excited to have all of you here, right in the midst of a beautiful New England foliage season, joining us, looking at some new names and faces, which is really exciting, and some old friends too. So glad you're here. We're gonna get started in a few minutes. I like to give folks a little bit of time to come and settle in. Some things you might want to grab since we're going to give people a little bit of buffer time. A journal or a piece of paper even, and something to draw with or write with. I've got my colored pencils today. I'm not going to go too crazy, but I thought we could do a little exercise, guided exercise, like what to do when it's rainy out and you can sit from inside and enjoy the birds, or when you just don't feel like going outside and you're going to sit and observe from inside. So that's kind of what we'll do today. Welcome, welcome. All right. Let's see. Deb's putting the garden to bed, doing a little pruning. Nice. So we've got folks joining from Vermont, Massachusetts, Robin's in Illinois. Hey, Robin. Margie, hi, from New York. And we'll see who else comes in today. Feel free to drop in the chat box where you're from. One more thing that might be kind of cool to have today, your favorite bird app. I have a little bird poster. Maybe you've got like a bird poster around, or a field guide. Not absolutely necessary, but could add to your enjoyment of one of the activities. Awesome. Good, good. Meredith's from Charlotte. Yeah, hi, Meredith. I bet the foliage views from where you are right now are just amazing. I'm kind of grateful for this rainy day today that we're having here in Vermont because it's allowed me to slow down even more. The past 2 days have been like spectacular autumn days. And sometimes that makes you feel like it makes me feel like I got to get out and be on the land every waking moment, which isn't always possible. All right, let's see. Shirley from Virginia, good. I'm so glad you're outside today. Yay. Somebody can be outside. I don't know if any of you attended. I don't know if it was the last one, the last First Friday session, or the one before that. It was rainy where I was, and I was trying to do it outside with an umbrella. And it was just too much. So I decided today I'm just going to stay inside. All right, we're at 12:04. And so I am going to stop sharing my screen for a minute here. We'll just keep welcoming participants as they come in. Please feel free to like drop in the chat box where you're from and what you're enjoying. I got to do a little stop share here so I can say hi to everybody. Slide my chat box over on my tiny screen. So welcome to Slow birding first Fridays. Can you believe this is the 10th session? I'm like, oh my goodness. We started this back in January at the beginning of the year. It's the first time I've ever done it. And it's become something that I really look forward to. And I hope you're feeling that way too. So let's see, today, like I said, I'm indoors. So you're joining me in my sunroom today. And I really wanted to try to show and demonstrate that you can enjoy a sit spot session, even if you're indoors. So today in Vermont, it's rainy, it's a little bit windy. The showers are coming and going, not perfect weather to be doing a live session outside, but because I'm in my sunroom, and I'll just do a quick, like little bit of a pan. I have windows all around, and this is a feeder right here. That's my neighbor's house right next door, but I have a nice backyard as well. That's kind of enclosed in with a bit of forest. Sorry for the tippiness there. Okay. And this is where I really like to sit. I have 2 comfy chairs here. You know, the blankets go out in the winter time so that you can snuggle down and really kind of enjoy the space here. And so that's where I'm coming to you from today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Bridget Butler, aka the Bird Diva, and I have a small business literally located out of my home where I do outreach around birds, bird conservation, and my work in slow birding. I live in St. Albans, Vermont, which is at the northern end of Lake Champlain, which is on the unceded land of the Abenaki people, and they are still a huge part of our community here. And lots of lessons to be learned on the land with them and from them. So today we're going to do some different things like I've been talking about. I'm going to start with a poem, and then we'll go into a little bit of a breathing exercise to get us settled in our space. It's something that I'm learning more about in terms of mindfulness and meditation, and how having a breathing practice can kind of help prepare you to connect with nature in a different way, to kind of calm your mind, slow everything down, set the intention of being in the space and being open to whatever comes. And right now I'm noticing white-breasted nuthatch right outside my window. So the birds are definitely here. They're ready for First Friday. I'm going to share today with you a little guided visualization that's going to tie into a little bit of drawing and sketching. So if you have a piece of paper or your journal with you, that's going to be great. A pencil or a pen is fine, whatever you like to work with. We're not, going super deep. But just kind of a little exercise to do, whether you're inside or outside, or if the birds don't show up. It's also a really good exercise for when there aren't birds around you in the moment. All right, we'll do that guided piece. We'll have 5 minutes of kind of silent observation time. Feel free to drop things in the chat if you'd like to during that time about what you're noticing. And then I'm going to do a little bit of narrated noticing, like my sportscaster thing, where it's like the play-by-play and what I'm seeing from my yard, which can be fun. And then we'll just wrap up, and it takes around 40 minutes or so. One more final disclaimer: I'm indoors, so that means my dog and my cat are here. My cat is elderly. She's a Siamese, so she's super vocal. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that she is in sleeping mode right now. And my dog Sheldon has just joined me, but he's sitting up in the other birding chair, so maybe he'll zone out and take part in this as well. All right, I'm going to share my screen again with you. I'm excited to share this quote with you today, which is from a contemporary writer and author and birder and naturalist. His name is J. Drew Lanham, and he wrote the quote that I'm gonna read to you today comes from his book called Sparrow Envy, and the poem is Sparrow Envy too. And Sparrow Envy, the full title is Sparrow Envy, A Field Guide to Birds and Lesser Beasts. And it's really beautiful. You may have heard Lanham's name before. He is also the author of a very poignant and eye-opening essay called Birding While Black. And that was reprinted in a number of places online. And if you type that in with his last name, Lanham, Lanham, you can give that a read as well. But this one is reminding me of all the sparrows around my house right now. So I thought we'd read this one today. So feel free to close your eyes or gaze on something outside the window and just let some of these words kind of wash over you. Were I the sparrow, brown-backed, skittish, and small, I would find haven in thorniest thickets, search far and wide for fields lain fallow, treasure the unkempt, worship the unknown, covet the weed-strewn row. I would slink between sedges, chip unseen from brambles, skulk deep within hedges, and desire the ditches grown wild. I would find great joy in the mist-sodden morning, sing humble pleas from the highest weeds, and plead for the gray days to stay. So maybe in this moment, as that poem seeps in, there's a little gift, something, a sense of gratitude that's rising up for you, whether it's the fact that you made the time to hang out here today, or, oh, just, I don't know, gratitude for sparrows or those gray days that allow us to slow down. Just holding that as a thought for a moment. So today we're going to start like we always do, right? With some time kind of noticing. We've given ourselves this space of time to notice and be with the birds. And one of the things that I'm learning a lot more about is how to kind of prepare myself to connect and be in a connected headspace. And I think sometimes as birders, we set out with these intentions of seeing lots of things, seeing a lot of diverse birds, maybe something unique and rare. It's migration right now, so we like have this desire to connect with birds that are coming through. And all of that is good, and those are definitely super valuable intentions. But I think there's also something lovely in this slowing down and sitting in space, especially familiar spaces, and allowing things to come back in around us and be on the land with us. And in order to prepare ourselves for that, I think there's a couple of things we can do. We've talked about this before, where we can breathe, or we can do a little bit of stretching in our space. And I want to come back to the breath. I just returned from a 9-day immersion program in mindful outdoor leadership. And I think I finally get it. I think I finally get the breathing piece and the meditation piece. We did it for 9 days every morning before we went out on our sit spot. And I finally think I get it. And so I kept returning back to this breath that I introduced during one of the first Friday sessions that I had heard about from David Abram, who's the author of Spell of the Sensuous. And he was talking about a me, you, we breath, where the inhale through the nose is for you, right? That's bringing all that outdoor energy and nature and smells of fall into you. We can think of that out breath, the exhale, as a gift back, as the you, the returning to you, whether it's the trees or the sparrows or the chickadees or whoever you have around you right now. But then there's this connector piece, the we. part, right? Because we're not really separate from nature. We're really a part of nature. And I couldn't figure out how to fit that into the flow. And then last week it finally came to me. It's the pause between the out breath and the next in breath, right? So it's this place where there's this transition and joining. So I want to invite you to give that a try today. So I'm going to guide you through it and talk through it to start with. And then we'll just do a couple of breaths that way. And then I'll come back in and narrate it again for you so that you can catch it. But it took me a while to figure out, geez, how to breathe in this way, develop this kind of practice. And then it was just so lovely because it put me in this really good, calm, quiet mind to just be ready for the birds. So we'll give it a try. Find a place where you're nice and comfortable. Maybe you want to have your feet on the floor. You can put your hands wherever you want. I like them. For some reason, I cup them kind of in my lap. A lot of things you could interpret from that. Relax those shoulders, right? Maybe just a couple breaths that work for you as you normally breathe. You can close your eyes or you can gaze downward. All of that's good, really good. And we're just going to start with not a super deep inhale, but just a nice slow inhale. And I want you to have this like soft mental note of me. And then on the exhale, we're going to let it go out for as long as we can in the you, in giving back. And then we'll get into that bottom part of the breath. And that's where it's just this mental note of we before we return to me again. So it's kind of like this. So if I inhale me, exhale nice and long into you. And right at the bottom is the we. Back to me, you, we sits right at the bottom of that breath. So give it a try a couple times on your own. See if you can find that nice rhythm. Try one more. Me on the inhale, you on the exhale, right at the bottom between the in-breath. Nice soft mental note of we. Gets you back in touch with that reciprocity, that giving and flow. I also like the circular nature of it, which, wow, we see everywhere, that circle of the seasons that we're in right now. Nice. I'm wondering what you are feeling right now. And you can feel free to tap that in the chat box, or you can just, I don't know, say it in your head. That's okay too. I think I'm feeling the quietness of the moment. I think it makes bird vocalizations stand out a little bit more. And I think my head is really ready to participate now, kind of in this mellow, relaxed place, which the birds totally appreciate, right? We talk about not being in that desirous mode of, oh, I need to see you, I want to see you, all of that, right? Sometimes that pushes the birds away. So it also creates a really nice, welcoming mood. All right. So as Chickadee comes in over my shoulder here into the feeder, one of the things I wanted to share with you today is about letting go of when there aren't birds around or when the weather's crappy and it's not really great and ideal for hanging out. outside, what are some other things that we can do to kind of, I don't know, stimulate that creative side of our brain that will help us deepen our connections with our usual suspects. I talk about usual suspects and slow burning as being those birds that we have a really great chance of being in contact with on a day-to-day basis. So for me right now, my usual suspects in my yard are chickadee, um, white-breasted nuthatch, blue jay, ooh, and my new favorite one that's just moved in because it's fall migration is white-throated sparrow. So some of you may have birds present right now, and that's great. Some of you may not. But we're going to close our eyes in a minute here, and I want you to pick one bird that you know really well, that you feel like you have this growing relationship with, that is one of your neighbors, that you know right away by sight or sound. And we're going to close our eyes, and we're going to hold that bird's image in our mind's eye. So we're going to think about what that bird looks like, how it behaves. Maybe we're going to do a body scan of that bird, right? I know I learned last week in meditation and yoga practice, right? They do this thing called body scan, and we can really apply that to how we look at birds. So I'm going to picture white-throated sparrow in my head. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to narrate it for you right now. So I'm pulling up my own personal search image of white-throated sparrow. There you are. And maybe I go through this mental checklist and a body scan of sparrow. And I say, Sparrow, you're about the size of chickadee, maybe a little bit bigger. You're a little more robust. And I'm going to start at the head, and I'm going to try to picture the beak and the stripes on the face, over the head, over the crown. And then I'm going to roll down the back, all that streaky, beautiful brown, dark browns, and out and up the tail. I'm wondering how long the tail is in relation to the body. You got to remember to look at that again the next time I see white-throated sparrow. I'm going to come back up to the head and just kind of let my gaze go down the throat in my mind's eye. It's a white-throated sparrow, so I got to make sure I have that white throat in there. Little yellow around the eye, maybe down into a white belly. Dark legs, I think. So I want you to give yourself a moment to do that same sort of thing with one of your usual suspects, somebody that you're familiar with. Can you close your eyes and kind of do a little mind map of that bird and get to know that bird? When we do this, what we're doing is we're kind of engaging that right side of our brain, that creative side of our brain. And we're helping to create a search image that will allow for quicker connection and familiarity when we're outside, right? And white-throated sparrow or red-winged blackbird comes through, or dark-eyed junco shows up. All right. If you want to open your eyes now, we're going to continue with that bird. Let's stay with that bird and keep building that thread, that connection with that bird. I've grabbed my journal, my little Write in the Rain notebook. And I've got a blue colored pencil today because I want it to stand out when I hold up the picture. And I want to invite you to draw with me. Uh-oh, is this an edge? This is an edge for me. I don't like drawing. I think I'm a terrible artist. I don't often share my stuff, but I'm going to share my stuff with you today. But for me, what it does again is it's giving myself permission to be a terrible drawer, but recognize that it's stimulating this right side of the brain, this creative side of the brain. So the thing that helped me learn how to let go, one of the many things, is this exercise from John Muir Laws, just like John Muir, but then his last name is Laws, and he teaches nature journaling. And when he teaches about birds, he says using foundation lines as a starting point is really helpful to kind of building a whole image of a bird and maybe getting really good at drawing birds. For me, that's not really the goal. For me, it's about kind of creating this search image in my head of what the bird looks like, maybe a little bit of its size and its shape, all those proportions and things that can come in really handy when we want to get to know who's who out on the land. So think of this as like stick figure birds. We're going to be using like lines and circles and ovals. That's all you need. And then maybe we can put like a triangle or a teardrop on top of stuff, something like that. So I want you to take your bird, and again, in your mind's eye, we're going to picture what's like a familiar pose or perching position that you know that you can draw from experience, literally draw from experience. So I'm thinking of Sparrow right now. And okay, so we're thinking in circles and lines. So I'm going to think of like Sparrow on the ground, which they are an awful lot because they like to forage on the ground. And like I said, this is really great. Nobody shows up. All the birds are gone from my backyard right now. But I know white-throated sparrow was here a minute ago. So I'm just going to start with like, I think maybe the foundational line for my sparrow might be something like this. Let's see if I'm going to hold this up. That doesn't look like much, right? But I've got the tail and the body, and this is kind of the head. That's my start of the head. So I just started with lines, stick figure birds. Okay. Now I'm going to put some circles in. And my sparrows don't really like show their neck much unless they're like really stretched out and they're alert about something. So in this pose, when my sparrow is on the ground, oh geez, I'm already judging myself. Okay, let it go, Bridget. I'm gonna take a breath. It's amazing how much that helps. Just let it go, and I'm gonna stick a tail in here. I think the tail's longer. Okay, and this is messy. I'm just doing like messy circle, 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 oval, 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 kicking out the tail. Okay, there's my messy sparrow so far. I don't even have any legs in there. I gotta put some legs in. How long are the legs in relation to the body? They got those knee things that kind of go backwards and then into the feet. Every time I take a deep breath, you know what that means? That means I'm judging my drawing. Okay, sparrow. All right, I got some. Okay, feet. So really, this is just about discovering proportions, right? I was thinking about how the tail might be longer. This might be a longer tailed sparrow than most other sparrows. I'm gonna get a chunky beak in here. Did you put your beak in yet? Not bad. Okay, not great, but not bad, right? And it's almost like true to size. In my notebook, it's almost true to size. Okay. There's something wrong with his butt. I drawing the tail end of the bird. I don't know if I have that down yet. Okay. Now at the opening, for those of you who heard me, I said, hey, grab your favorite app or your field guide if you want. And this is where we can layer other stuff in and we can get some of those other details. So let's see, I've got my Sibley guide over here. I'm gonna find my sparrow section. Find white-throated sparrow. Just take a look. I don't know. I'm gonna try to just draw in some of these other big features, like how does the white throat sit? Where does it sit? Can I find white? There you are. Hi. Oh yeah, I forgot about your mustache. How many jillions of times have I seen white-throated sparrow and I forgot about the mustache? All right, that comes down from the bill. I think my beak is too big. Got to get the back end of the beak too, right? And the eye. I think I need to take more nature journaling classes. We're going to get the eye stripe in through here just a little bit. And mine's all in blue. You know, I'm doing the best I can with just blue because maybe that's the only thing I brought out into the field. Isn't that interesting? That comes down from the beak. Oh, okay. I'm liking it better already. Yay. The excited noises mean I'm liking my drawing. I'm realizing I didn't put a wing in here. So now I got to figure that out. How do you hold your wing when you are, we'll just work off of this oval here. That's not bad. Now we got a couple wing bars. I'm just going to make those. They're white. So we're just going to put little chunks in there. That's really dark. All the way through the eye. Yep, that line goes all the way through the eye. This is down around like that. The undertail coverts. Ooh, not dark legs, very pale legs. Okay, so this is where I got to, right? Just in that short amount of time with a blue pencil. Not bad, right? Not perfect, but that's not what it's about. This is about engaging and releasing your creative side, engaging that side of your brain and strengthening that search image that you have for whatever bird you chose. Okay, anybody feeling bold and they want to hold theirs up to the camera? You can do it. Hey. Okay, Martha, I know who that is, Martha. It's catbird. Oh, and woodpeckers. So good. Good, good, good. Oh, great, you guys. That's what we got, right? It's a start and it's just for you. Thank you for sharing because I know how hard that can be. Here comes Meredith. Hey, Meredith, I love it. Beautiful. This is one of the things that, right, I had to get over. And I wrote about edges this week in my monthly like email blast that goes out to everybody, is really stepping up to some of these edges and getting comfortable with them. You don't have to go off the edge right away, right? This is about just, recognizing I'm not comfortable with drawing, but there's something in this that's incredibly fun and satisfying as you just play around and you get better with it. All right. Anybody have anything they want to share in the chat about this exercise? How was it feeling? Did you feel like it was an edge? Did you not do it? You were like, man, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not ready to do that. That's totally fine. Shirley says, my chickadee black beak first, and then the feet inspired me to draw the legs. Ooh, I love that, right? We often think about, starting with the body. What's the part that pops to you most? And can you work back from that? Ooh, I like that. That's a good challenge. Anything else that you're feeling? I'm just feeling connected to white-throated sparrow. They started to come in recently here in the Northeast, like moving through in these flocks. Now they're all in groups, right? They're not spread out all over the land. And so I'm just noticing them more wherever I go, and their little cheeps and sips and sounds. You know, like Drew mentions in his poem, I would slink between sedges, chip unseen from brambles. Often we don't get to see some of these birds because they're deep within the thicket spots. All right, we're gonna do a little bit of like silent. We're gonna do 5 minutes of just silent observation. A couple of things that I like to do with this is to let go of my birder brain that needs to name and list and identify everything. I get that out right away. I make a little column for it in my journal and I just write it all down and then I let it go. And I'm like, okay, now I can just enjoy being with the birds. Okay. And I also like to maybe just write what I'm noticing or what I'm wondering about, right? So rather than trying to get all the answers, we have this fear of not knowing. And I encourage you to sit with that knowing, but write it down, right? We in slow birding, we use I notice, I wonder, it reminds me of. And I've developed little ways of, you know, a question mark with a box around it captures those things that I'm wondering about that I might want to look up later so that I stay in the moment and I don't leave. Okay. So we're going to do 5 minutes. I'm not going to talk, which is really, really hard for me. So I'm going to do my best not to talk. I will leave my microphone on so that you might be able to hear some of the birds that are starting to come in because I have the windows open around me. And I just want you to let things flow. Notice what you're noticing. If you feel the need to jot stuff down, that's great. If you don't, and you just want to sit and go back to the breathing, the you, me, we breathing, that's totally fine too. And you're giving back to those birds that are coming to check you out. All right. It's 12:37 right now. So that means 12:42. I will unleash and we'll do a little narrated sitting together from where I'm at. Okay, enjoy. Right. It went over a little bit there by like a couple minutes in terms of the quiet time. I think I could do more. Um, so I want to acknowledge some of the nice comments that came in about the drawing exercise. Good. I'm so excited that you all felt that way, right? So we have Martha sharing, it was fun. Drawing makes me see things I didn't know or see. Margie said, great practice for seeing the value in the process and not the results, right? Lisa, I so agree, Margie, on that one. Lisa says, a wonderful way to connect to birds and be okay when no bird shows up at your sit spot, right? These little exercises, so you don't have to feel like it's a failure because the birds didn't come out at your sit spot, right? Like I keep thinking about still having this time set aside in nature, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, just sitting quietly in nature. And although, right, we're talking about slow birding, sometimes the birds don't show up. So how do we still keep our practice going? And I think this is a fun exercise to kind of do that. Yeah, some people have some great birds showing up for them. Betsy's got black-capped chickadee, tufted titmouse. So she's using what we call bird code. They're 4-letter kind of abbreviations for bird common names. So tufted titmouse, you use the first 2 letters of the first part of the name and the first 2 letters of the second part of the name, and you get Tootie. Black-capped chickadee is hyphenated, so we got to use the B in black, the C in capped, and then chickadee is CH. So she's got a lot of really good ones there, things that you can kind of try to figure out from her bird code there. Andrew says, letting go. It is definitely a theme. Drawing makes me happy. It's medicinal. So here's the other thing. I'm curious today. I went back and fixed my bird's tail. So there I did my notes and my little brain dump of who came in, but then I fixed my sparrow tail a little bit and I noticed a notch because white-throated sparrow actually showed up. And I had the opportunity to kind of fine-tune my drawing and notice some more stuff. So that's really good too. Thinking about what else you may have noticed. 5 minutes really isn't a long time. It goes by so quick to be quiet. Right now, I have a platform feeder out my window. I'm also in a place, for those of you in Vermont or New England who know about pulling feeders in, keeping them in until the bears go into hibernation. Luckily, I'm in a more urban setting, so we don't have bear sightings as much. So my dates for putting feeders out are a little bit different than others. But the blue jays have been coming in, and it's really fun to watch them, like literally right now, gulp down mouthfuls of seed and then take off. My kids and I have been trying to guesstimate how many they gulp at one time. So we started saying, what if we estimated 2 seeds for every gulp? And if they do 32 gulps, then that's 64 seeds. They've got this thing called a guller pouch. It's also people sometimes refer to it as a crop. And then it's really fun because then they fly off. And this one blue jay flies off in the same direction over the shed, past the white pine tree every single time. And one of these days I'm going to follow it and figure out where it's stashing all these seeds, because it must have a stash somewhere. Super. Betsy, I see you've got your hand up. You want to unmute and share?
I just wanted to say I live in bear country. I live on what used to be a working blueberry farm, and we have lots of bears, but I have just 5 feeders out right now. Like in the winter, I put 17 out, but I put mine out first thing in the morning and bring them in just before it gets dark. And then I have a couple of Great Pyrenees and a Dutch Shepherd that are always around the house, so the bears don't come right up to the house where the feeders are. Nice. But that's managed to feed the birds, in a very bear heavy location.
Yeah, so there's the combination. Bring them in and get a couple of Great Pyrenees and you're all set. The other thing that you can do, right, is leave gardens messy. I didn't grow anything in my gardens this year. I was really lazy this year. So everything just grew whatever it grew, and now it's super messy. But that's like Sparrow Central, and it's awesome. And there's goldfinches literally like leaning off of the flower stalk heads and everything. So it's really lovely, and a good brush pile, right? So cover is really good, and natural flowers and seeds. So letting, the asters and the Jerusalem artichoke and all of those go to seed can be really great natural food sources as well. All right, I'm checking in on other folks mentioning things here. Good. Shirley says they're up there. As I hear them, occasionally one flies in, but they hold out on me until I go inside. Nice. All right. Since all the birds are gone, except for you, Blue Jay, who's now sitting very upright and just doing soft little chortles. That kind of makes me curious if they're taking turns. Oh yeah, there's another one at the feeder gulping down. So this one's queuing up and waiting, which makes me wonder, is there a hierarchy for blue jays? Look at that, they just switched out. Oop, and another one came in, and now there's a fight. See all the fun things you can notice when you just hang out for a little bit. All right, with that, I'm gonna invite you all to take a nice, happy, joyous breath inhale with me, and a nice slow exhale. And I'm feeling a huge sense of gratitude today to all of you for joining me here again. Thank you so much. All the new folks who joined for the first time, and for those of you who keep coming back, thanks so much. Listen, if you haven't taken a slow birding course with me yet, the fall course just started today. The first email went out today, and the first discussion of this 5-week course. Oh, white-throated sparrow is singing in my yard. They're interrupting. Wait, back to the course thing. So the course, first course discussion is next Tuesday night from 6:30 to 8. We do that once a week for 5 weeks. You get an email each week with a theme and a video to watch. And I have a Facebook community of people who have already taken the course, growing, of birders who like to bird in this way. So all birding types are welcome in slow birding, and we just keep pushing those edges to explore a little bit more together. This video will be online with all the rest of the First Friday videos. So if you want to go back and enjoy some other sessions, you can find that by searching for Bird Diva on YouTube, and I should pop right up. Thanks again for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again, either in one of my courses or at First Friday next month. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Always fun.